You are. My name is Betsy Shandalov, and I'm an integrative occupational therapist. Integrative meaning that I combine yoga therapy and Reiki and meditation and mindfulness. And recently, I just received my Ayurvedic Medicine certification, where I'm an Ayurvedic wellness counselor. Ayurvedic medicine is a sister science to yoga. So we're going to talk a lot about that this morning, but in particular, I'd like to just welcome you to hopefully consider going to our PESI's Rehab Summit. I will be speaking there as at the pre-conference, which is a 4-hour conference. So if you need CEUs, you can do that in a 4-hour time slot with myself, and that will be at the beginning of the conference. And then I will also speak the following day for a 2-hour conference with children. So my first conference, just so you know the name of it, is called Alleviating Pain and Anxiety Post-COVID, Integrative Techniques to Build the Immune System and Client Self-Care. And then the conference that the session I will be doing the following day is, if you work in pediatrics or have children yourself, is called Yoga and Mindfulness for Kids, Techniques to Rehab the Brain and the Nervous System After COVID. So today I'd like to just begin by saying that I'm based outside of San Francisco in California, and I'm in private practice. I have been an occupational therapist since 1992, but recently in the last 14 years, started using integrative techniques to work with my clients from adults and working with kids and families. I got my yoga therapy certification. Initially, I got my what was called Iyengar yoga certification. And then I went on to get my yoga kids certification. And then finally, as a yoga therapist, which is 1,000 hours, I received that training. When I started to work with my clients using yoga, I realized that so many of our clients were exhibiting concepts around trauma. It was stress and anxiety. And they were, and I knew I needed a tool in my toolkit to help those clients. So I went on to get an additional training through the Center for Mind-Body Medicine. And if you've never heard of them, Jim Gordon is a psychiatrist out of Washington, D.C., and it's called the Center for Mind-Body Medicine. And I went through 2 week-long trainings around integrative medicine, but in particular, looking at small group work with trauma, stress, and anxiety. Now, the reason why I bring it up, because now that we have experienced our pandemic, I don't know about you, but the last year and a half have been traumatic for all of us. Whether you're in healthcare now and have worked through that with your clients, you may have been worried that you were going to pass on the COVID-19 to your family members or friends. You may have were worried that you were going to get it and get sick. If you didn't work directly with people in the hospital setting or in the nursing home setting, you may have been home and then trying to balance your work with your family, or feeling isolation for being in your home away from community. So my course today, or coming up at the Rehab Summit, is really about helping to address our stress and anxiety from an integrative medicine perspective. The way I like to explain it is related to our nervous system. So when you got up this morning, did you just jump out of bed and were ready to go? Like I like to say, like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, or like a bunny, you just couldn't wait to get up? Or when you got up this morning, you wanted to put the covers back on your head. And in this case today in California, it's raining. So maybe you have weather that's not great wherever you are. And that means that you're like a turtle, like you wanted to come back into your turtle shell. I relate that with the nervous system, because the sympathetic nervous system is that fight or flight. It's that I want to go fast and get where I need to go. It's adrenaline based. And the parasympathetic nervous system is that calm and quiet and turtle that I'm talking about. And we need a balance of both. And so what I'm really interested in is, how are you doing right now? Do you feel like that your adrenaline is going all the time and you're stressed all the time, whether it means that you're working in a setting that feels stressful as a therapist or in the healthcare profession? Or do you feel like you are isolated and that's stressful? So, a couple things that I do with that is breathing. And a lot of the long haul, COVID long haul symptoms, if you have had COVID or are working with patients that have had COVID, many of them may exhibit long haul symptoms. One of those in particular is brain fog. And you feel like that you can't remember anything. You feel like you're not aware of what's going on around you. You walked out the door and left your keys or whatever it is, but it's a real thing. In fact, we're finding that the percentage of brain fog is 81% of people with long haul symptoms have brain fog. So one of the things is to come into our body so that our brain can function. And one way I do that is something called palming. So if you can rub your hands together, and then allow your palms to come onto your eyes. There is a pressure point for calm right at our third eye, right in our forehead and at our eyes. So just take a deep breath in and exhale. And take another deep breath in and exhale. And gently relax your hands from your eyes. And even wake up your brain. So I like to do tapping with our fingertips at the top of our head, and then bring our fingertips to our forehead and our eyelids and our cheeks. Can you smile? And our chin and our neck and our shoulders. So what we're finding is if we can come into our sensory system and come out of that fight or flight, our brains start to effectively work more and with ease. Another thing that's really interesting about the long haul symptoms is breathing, because COVID-19 is a disorder with breathing. And what we're finding is like, how can we regulate the nervous system to have better breathing? The vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve and the longest nerve in the body, affects so many organs. In fact, it goes not only to the heart and to the lungs, but it also goes to the gut. And what we're finding is when we aren't breathing effectively, we aren't eating effectively, and our brain isn't working effectively. So how can we turn on that vagus nerve and bring on that relaxation response so that we can effectively get back to normal living and to help these long haul symptoms from COVID? One other thing to think about is an eye pillow. And it's eye, like EYE, not iPad or pod, but literally physically for the eyes. And this I keep by my bedside. I don't know if you're having a hard time sleeping. That's also a long haul symptom. But if we put this pillow on our eyes before we sleep and do diaphragmatic breathing, which I'm going to demonstrate now, we can slowly relax our nervous system before bed. What I'm encouraging my clients to do is actually to come to bed about 10 minutes earlier than you might normally do. And you keep this by your bedside and you put it on your eyes, right at that, across that forehead, which is a pressure point for calm, but also on your eyes. This is a 1 pound weight, basically. And you can have lavender in it or soothing scents. But the idea is that if you put this on your eyes and do this deep breathing, you allow your body to find that turtle, that calm space, that parasympathetic nervous system spot to heal your brain and to heal your nervous system. So with diaphragmatic breathing, if you can put your hands on your belly, and I'm just going to direct my hands right at my belly here. And you can close your eyes. I have my feet flat on the floor. As you take a deep breath in, you fill your belly with breath for a count of 3. And then as you exhale, release for a count of 6 as you exhale. So let's try that. Deep breath in for a count of 3. And exhale for a count of 6. What that allows us to do is to use our diaphragm, which is our major muscle for breathing, to reinstate that and to use that, especially if someone's been on a ventilator during COVID. That's really one of the first things we do, is to teach diaphragmatic breathing, even bedside in the hospital. Not only does it work on relaxation for the client, but it starts to build those muscles back for them to breathe on their own. The other thing I encourage is for you as the therapist, if you're in healthcare, to do it with them. The cool thing about integrative medicine is when we breathe ourselves with our clients, we heal together. And that's what's amazing. If you feel like you've got stress and it's a worrisome thing for you to be at work, the deep breathing really can help. One of the things that I also do is to encourage my clients to breathe throughout the day. And what that looks like is what's called take 5. So let's do that. We're going to have a deep breath in for a count of 5. So I bring each finger up. And then exhale for a count of 5 and bring them down. And I do that the minute I get up in the morning. I put my feet on the ground from my bedside and I take 5 and I check in with my body, and then I exhale. And then I'll do it a series of probably 25 times throughout the day. If you're seeing clients in a nursing home setting or in live in person in a rehab setting or in a hospital setting, I actually do it before I walk into their room. I have my feet on the floor. I take a deep breath in for a count of 5 and breathe out for a count of 5. That puts me mindfully in the spot with them. And that can really help to help me focus and be with them when we work together. So all of these techniques are really, really helpful. One of the things that I think we need to remind ourselves is that we have been maybe in isolation, and you may be working by yourself in isolation. The yogic philosophy is we need to get blood flow to our body throughout the day. And so where are you not getting blood flow? Do you have pain? In fact, one of my courses for the pre-conference is about pain. If you have pain, are you getting blood flow to that area of your body where there's pain? So one thing I encourage people to do, even if you're sitting at your computer and don't have pain, but you're doing your either your paperwork for your as a therapist, or you're actually seeing clients online, is to move throughout the day. And one way you can do that is seated. So we're going to do some seated yoga poses to be able to help you with that. So I'm going to direct my camera down a little bit so that you can see this. The first one is a twist. So you're going to bring your hand in front of you. Let's go and have your right hand in front of you. Take a deep breath in and grow your spine. Gently lift your chin from your chest. And then exhale, bring that arm on the outside of the opposite thigh. So outside the left thigh in this situation. Take a deep breath in, lift your chin from your chest, and then exhale, look over your shoulder. One more time, deep breath in, grow your spine, and then exhale, look a little further with just your eyes, and then slowly come back to center. Now, what we're finding is, I like to show everybody that when we do this integrative medicine work, our brain changes with us. So if you've got brain fog, this can also help. Now, one of the things I would say is we know the brain works with the body with yoga, because what if I told you we weren't going to do the other side? We weren't going to twist to the other side. That would not be very kind. But I want you to say that, see that the brain and the body work together. And with yoga therapy, that's really what I like to teach our clients, is that we breathe and we move and our brain changes. We know that there's neuroplasticity of our brain. Our brain can constantly be remodeled, and yoga therapy can really help with that. So let's get blood flow to the other side. So bring your left arm in front of you, roll your shoulders in and back, gently lift your chin from your chest, and exhale, bring that arm on the outside of the right thigh. Deep breath in, lift your chin from your chest, and exhale, look over your shoulder. And then one more time, deep breath in, and exhale, look a little further with just your eyes, and come back to center. Our eyes are really, really important. In fact, one of the long haul symptoms is visual problems. And so we can really start to do eye exercises with our clients. And I will teach you that as well. But one thing you can do is actually to have them practice by having your head straight ahead and still, but just use your eyes. And I like to think about the numbers on a clock. So keep your head still and you look up to 12 o'clock. And then bring your eyes, just your eyes, not your head, over to 3 o'clock, down to 9 o'clock, down to sorry, down to 6 o'clock, down to up to 9 o'clock, and then back up to 12. And then reverse it because we want to train our brain to go both ways. So from 12 o'clock over to 9, down to 6, over to 3, and back to 12. So eye exercises are really, really important as well. And all of these can be done seated, and they can be done by the bedside to teach. If you're treating people in acute care, it can be done by the bedside. So I also want to address people are losing their sense of smell. And the olfactory nerve is one of the first places where COVID unfortunately attacks, and as a virus. And so what's amazing that we're finding though is that the olfactory nerve can be regenerated. It's one of the few nerves that can be regenerated fairly quickly. So one of the things to think about, and I've done this with several of my clients and it's working, if they have lost their sense of smell, is to actually be able to train the brain by getting either essential oils, which some people are really, that's a noxious scent to them, but you can try, some people may be okay with that, or you can actually use fruits with great smells. And so let me give you an example. We can use an orange essential oil or the fruit. And what we do is have our client with this smell, loss of smell, to close their eyes, and they envision what an orange smells like. And then we then take that essential oil, the orange essential oil, and waft it underneath their nose. Could also use a regular orange. They bring that smell into their body, even though they might not be able to smell it at all. They envision that orange smell, and then they exhale. And then we do it over a series of 3 to 4 times a day. So maybe like 12 to 15 times during the day, they're getting that training. You can use scents. I like to use 3 different scents. I personally like to use orange, lemon, and lavender because most people know what those smell like beforehand. So that's something to consider. And we're really finding with Ayurvedic medicine in particular that that sense of smell is coming back with herbs. You could use mint, you can use tea tree oil, you can use the eucalyptus. All of those can be naturally found as well. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is the Ayurvedic medicine piece. So I'm ridiculously weird, but right before COVID, I decided I was going to get my Ayurvedic wellness counselor training. It's a year-long training. Ayurvedic medicine, like I mentioned, is a sister science with yoga therapy. And what it does, and what I found like I was missing, was the whole lifestyle piece from the minute you get up in the morning to the end, right before you go to bed. How are you incorporating this work with yoga therapy, with breathing, with food? What foods are you eating, with herbs, and also looking at bowel and bladder, because that's a huge piece about wellness and health and lifestyle. So just to let you know, I couldn't do it in person, which I was hoping to do that training in person, but COVID came along. And during COVID, that's how I spent my time, is getting this Ayurvedic wellness counselor training. Why it's important to me is, what is your schedule like after COVID? Think about what your life was like before COVID, whether you have clients that have had COVID or you yourself have had it. Do you have long haul symptoms? But what was your lifestyle before? And then what is it now? And let me give you an example. We need to bring that balance of that energizing bunny energy, that adrenaline energy to our body, but also the calm. So an interesting thing to think about with our lifestyle is, the minute I get up in the morning, I said that I put my feet on the floor and I take 5. I also energetically go throughout and I close my eyes and I envision my entire body, and I think of white light coming through my throat, down around through each of my cells. COVID-19 is a cellular virus, so it goes throughout all our cellular systems. So I think to myself, bringing that in through like a meditation, through that light coming through the crown of my head, then pouring down my throat. It goes around my heart. It comes through each and every rib to help with my breathing. It comes to my gut, and then it goes to the rest of my body. So the idea with that is, that's a mindfulness piece for your own personal healing. So I start my day like that. I also do a meditation. And if you don't do meditation, I would really encourage you to do that. I will talk about different smartphone apps that you can do with that, but we know that that can help with brain fog. And in my course, when you come, I'm actually going to do a guided meditation so that you can experience that. One book that I really want to show you, and I'm very interested, and it's personal for me, is this book. If you've never seen it before, it's called The Integrative Rehabilitation Practice. And two of my colleagues, Matt Erb, who's a physical therapist and integrative medicine physical therapist, and Arlene Schmidt, who is an occupational therapist, are the editors of this book. I wrote the chapter on meditation. It just came out in the last year, and I can't say enough about it. You can get it at the big box store like Amazon, but you can also get it at the smaller stores online. And I would just really encourage you, if you are working with clients with COVID long haul or COVID in general, or if you're just interested in incorporating integrative rehab practices, there is everything from guided imagery, pain. I told you about meditation. All of these are in this book. Now, another book that I really want to mention that I'm really interested in is Sanjay Gupta's book about keeping sharp, build a better brain at any age. And if you have clients with brain fog, so much of his work is about integrative medicine. So when I mentioned about my day, I get up in the morning, do a meditation, I do some deep breathing, I eat a good breakfast, and I get up by about 6:30, 7 a.m. It's really important because a lot of our clients are sleeping in to the point that changes their bowel program. And we all need to be back on a routine, even if we're not going to work. So what time are you getting up in the morning? Sleeping in can actually change your entire body and actually even put it into a stressful situation. And we don't want to do that. So eating a good breakfast, one that's high in fiber, and is really healthy for us. Then moving on throughout the day and getting some exercise, whatever that looks like. It could be in the morning, it could be in the evening, however that works. But we've got to move our bodies. We have to eat well. We need to drink a lot of water, and to incorporate that throughout the day. Now, the biggest thing I want to say is that with Ayurvedic medicine, we really firmly believe that your lunchtime is your biggest meal. So the one thing to really think about from a self-care standpoint is how can you incorporate a warm meal, especially in the winter, in the middle of the day. And it's really important to think about. A lot of people want to eat salads, and salads are great, but that's a lot of lightness going into your body. And with Ayurvedic medicine, we look at three doshas, which are called Vata, which is air, Pitta, which is fire, and Kapha, which is earth. Right now, we're in the Vata season with winter, which means that it's more of that lighter sense. So we need those warm, heavier foods to coat our stomach and our gut so that we feel full and that we feel balanced in our body. So moving throughout the day, the last thing I want to mention is toward the end of the day, we're sleep. I mentioned the eye pillow. The other thing I'd like to say is that if you have a hard time going to sleep, these meditation apps, in particular, I like Insight Timer, but also we use Calm and Headspace. They have guided imagery for sleep. And I can't say enough about that. I mentioned, once again, the eye pillow, because that can also prepare our body for sleep. But we're also finding that certain foods have melatonin in them. And melatonin is a neurotransmitter to help us for sleep that our body actually produces. A couple things that we can think about that have foods that have melatonin is pistachios, almonds, cow's milk. And what we're finding is if you can actually eat some pistachios or almonds an hour and a half before bed, you can sleep longer and harder. Also, with the Vata season I mentioned, and because of the melatonin, cow's milk, to have warm milk before you go to bed can also be helpful. And the final thing, which is the most important thing in our society right now, is to limit the screen time. Before you go to bed, really an hour and a half before bed, we really shouldn't be looking at these screens. That fluorescent light is not good for our nervous system, and in fact can amp it up. thing to consider is to learn the diaphragmatic breathing, but then also to consider a restorative yoga poses, and that's like child's pose, which I will show in my course. We're going to actually physically at the pre-conference do active poses and restorative poses on our yoga mats, so we can experience what it is to have activating poses, yoga poses, and then calming ones. Finally, I want to just mention a couple of books that I really love, and these are books on pain. One is called The Yoga and Science of Pain Care, which three of my really good friends in the yoga therapy world have written. It's edited by Neil Pearson, Shelley Prasco, and Marlisa Sullivan, and all three of them are physical therapists and yoga therapists. And if you have pain, most likely if your clients had pain before the pandemic, they have even more now because of the adrenaline and the stress with the pandemic. So I can't say enough about this book. And then the last one that's on pain is Matthew Taylor's book, he's a physical therapist and yoga therapist, Yoga Therapy as a Creative Response to Pain. Now, finally, before I end, I just want to show two books on food. With my Ayurvedic Medicine certification, I'm starting to help my clients change their lifestyle with the foods that they're eating based on their body type. If you work with kids, it's called Super Healthy Kids, A Parent's Guide to the Maharishi Ayurveda. And it's written by Kamudha Reddy, who's a doctor. And this one to help with brain work. And also, it's the 30-day Alzheimer's solution, the digestive food and lifestyle guide to preventing cognitive decline. And with brain fog, that's huge. And it's written by a husband and wife team, Dean Shirzai and his wife, Ayesha Shirzai, who are both MDs. So I'd like to just kind of close with the idea that in my courses, the pre-conference that's going to be one of the first days of the Rehab Summit, I'm going to be once again speaking on pain and integrative techniques using COVID, but in particular self-care for the therapist. And I hope that you can come and experience, or if you're in nursing or you're a psychologist, that you will come and experience the yoga active poses and restorative poses and the breath work, which can heal you, bring self-compassion to yourself, and hopefully to revitalize your work in healthcare. And then once again, my course that is going to be using this work with children, and I will be speaking on that. Now, finally, I'd just like to end with just a slight meditation. I feel like with all of us in our world, we need to slow our bodies and minds down. That will build our immune systems. And, I'm not sure how this is going to continue to work with the pandemic. But I know that the more we can build our immune systems, find that balance and lifestyle throughout the day, and can incorporate that breathing for calm, we will continue to thrive in our work and in our own self-care, and really continue to find out why we became interested in the work that we do, and to find joy in that work. So if you can just close your eyes for a minute, have your feet flat on the floor, and take a deep breath in and exhale. And in your mind's eye, think about being in this beautiful beach, and there's no one there. We've taken off our shoes and we're walking across this warm sand. As you take a deep breath in, think about that warmth entering through your whole body, and then exhale. Also, in your mind's eye, think about that the warm sun is pouring down from the sky, and it feels so amazing. So inhale that warmth from the sun into your heart center, and then exhale. Think about the warm sun as it wraps that light around your heart and holds your heart, and then exhale. And in your mind's eye, think about sending the warmth from your heart to a part of your body that needs healing today. Taking a deep breath in and thinking of the warmth from your heart, and exhale, send that warmth to a part of your body that needs healing, that may have pain or worry or fear. And then exhale as you envision the warmth from your heart being wrapped around that body part. And then finally, take a deep breath in. And from a compassion standpoint, think about sending the warmth from your heart to somebody else that needs healing today. And as you exhale, think about them receiving that warmth and smile. So just take a deep breath in for a count of 3 and exhale for a count of 6. Envision being at this ocean side. As you inhale, the water washes onto the shore, and as you exhale, the water recedes. Inhaling, the water washes onto the shore, and you think about anything in your mind or body that you want to let go. And as you exhale, that water washes back into this vast ocean, and your body begins to heal. Slowly starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes, and gently opening your eyes. So thank you so much for being with me today. I've really enjoyed it. And I hope that you will come and be live with me at the pre-conference at the Rehab Summit. It's in just a couple of weeks. I'll be there on November 11th. And I will also be teaching on the 12th. And finally, I would just like to add that please go and keep taking deep breaths. Take 5 wherever you can. And just know that the work you're doing is so, so important. In this time of the pandemic, but also just to heal all of our immune systems and to thrive. Namaste, and thank you very much.